I cannot wait for this semester to be over with.
Dude, it's killing me. I just pulled an all-nighter studying for this.
What, the intercultural test?
Yeah.
I know,
It's
man.
a lot of material.
I know.
Oh, guys, oh man, I was out late partying last night. I didn't get a chance to study.
You didn't study at all?
No, I need a lot of help.
Dude, what do you need help with?
The colonization part of French.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that we could teach you everything you need to know about colonization.
Yeah.
And we'll use what? France and we'll use Haiti and Morocco?
Yeah, sounds great. Case studies.
All right, cool.
So, Daniel, what do you not know about colonization?
Oh man, I don't know squat.
Well, let's take it from the beginning. First of all, colonization is basically one country taking over another country to exploit them economically, politically, culturally. There were several big players in Europe who at one time had almost the entire continent, like England, Spain, the Netherlands, and France is a part of that too.
Yeah, France's colonial empire started in 1605, Daniel. First, they went to the Americas and what's now Canada, and in the mid-17th century is when they went to Africa. In fact, 26 of the countries today in the continent, or in the world, should I say, not continent, were once colonized by France.
Well, so what does Haiti and Morocco have to do with this?
Well, France settled into both of those countries and played a huge role into their future development and how they are today. France affected them economically, culturally, socially, even their political systems.
And that's interesting because on the news, Haiti seems like it has a ton of problems.
Well, the reason it seems like it's a hot mess down in Haiti, Daniel, is because colonization is not without effect and consequence.
Yeah, totally. For example, France brought in their own culture into Haiti as the island had abundance of sugar for economic growth for France. And despite some Haitians acquiring French language and Catholicism, there are also elements of voodoo from Africa that helped ultimately influence the Haitian Revolution.
Yeah, voodoo, magic.
Whoa. You're telling me that the Haitians cast a spell on the French?
Well, don't let the Hollywood stereotypes fool you. Voodoo is a ritualistic practice that gave Africans spiritual comfort, similar to Christianity or Catholicism. The voodoo ceremonies gave Haitians a sense of spiritual comfort during their struggles, and that's kind of what gave them the strength for the Revolution for Independence from France in 1804.
Awesome. It's a shame that the 2008 earthquake, the 2008 hurricane, and the 2010 earthquake brought them back to the Stone Age.
Yeah, they've had some hardships and they've had economic and development problems starting from after the Revolution for Independence. Haiti was in debt with France over property lost in the war, and the 19th century brought a series of dictators into power that limited their development in schools, roads, employment, everything.
Yeah, and along with the debt and the dictatorships, once Haiti got its independence, it was divided up into different fractions, which made it harder for future development of the country. But there's one thing for sure, and that's that neither fraction was really happy with the mess that France left behind after colonization.
Man, that sounds like a really bad breakup I had with my girlfriend. Did any country offer to help?
Well, in recent years, some countries, including France, are trying to give assistance. The financial strains and national disaster has caused many Haitians professionals to leave the country. Haiti has a current population of 10 million people, and they've claimed that these food aid resources are not disposed of properly. For example, France's food aid only went to the biggest cities.
Well, I guess I know food is food, but I'm not sure if they want to be fanned up with our food.
Yeah, American food is pretty bad, I agree. But at the same time, you can learn more about what's going on with the food shortage after the disasters in this 2008 video I'm about to show you.
Haitians are particularly affected by food prices that are rising worldwide. The cost of staples such as rice, beans, fruit, and condensed milk have gone up 50% in the past year, while the cost of pasta has doubled. 80% of the population live on less than $2 a day.
Qui absurde, côté grand goût, la faim, côté soif, moun pa ka manger, moun pa ka boire, moun pa ka joindre pièces produits première nécessité pour manger. Eh bien, depuis un gouvernement pas qu'à souvenir avec besoin citoyen, si on te respecte, on te supposé bailler des missions.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon warned last week that the food crisis could threaten Haiti's already fragile security.
Because of such severe food shortages due to poverty, corrupt government, and international politics, underdeveloped Haitian cities have created their own food vendors by cooking in the streets and creating their own resources. This has created a sense of solidarity, preserved Haitian culture, and it's also reinforced communities in hard times.
Line of work. So France keeps dropping the ball with Haiti, huh? Don't they help at all aside from offering aid?
The French government has established communities in France where immigrating Haitians can easily assimilate into French culture. Close to 90,000 live in France now.
That's cool. It's the very least France should do.
Well, cool, yes, but it's not all peachy, creamy cake, whatever you want to call it. Apparently, since the Haitians migrated to France, France did the same thing that they did when they were colonizing the country of Haiti. So, for example, the Haitians are not allowed to freely express their religion and cultural identity. So it's the same story when Haitians are living in France and the same story when France was living in
Okay. And it was cool for France to help out with the communities, but at the same time, it just goes to show how much the original Haitian culture has been lost or changed by France and the Haitian subsequent diaspora.
Yeah, and the French not only created conflict and loss of cultural identity in Haiti, but at the same time they did this in a country much closer to France, and that's the Moroccan country.
Yeah, definitely. When France left their language behind in Morocco, it also left a bad taste in Morocco's mouth. While the French colonized the African country, they controlled the government and political realms, but they also made it understood that Europeans were far superior to anyone in Morocco. They also made the official language of Morocco French, and then they enforced that it be taught and spoken.
Oh man, where do you go again with the French?
So once France ended their colonization of Morocco in 1956, and Morocco officially became its own country, they wanted to Arabitize the country, giving it a sense of independence and a cultural identity. So while doing this, they wanted to make Morocco the number one language, and the French language was looked down upon for all the years of oppression that France did while colonizing.
The problem with this is there is not a specific standard of Arabic that is being taught nationwide, which is affecting the school system. And the irony is speaking French has increased has taken people with upward social mobility because French is the doorway to the Western world.
Wow, what a split of philosophies. Morocco wanting to belong to its historical Arab culture, and then the French wanting to put influence in the way success is dealt with in the global economy.
Yeah, and still to this day, the debate continues, Danny, on whether to split broadcasting between French and Arabic. With the push for more Arabic airtime by the Moroccan government, it could almost do away with the French language altogether. But again, like Kara said earlier, French is the doorway to business, media, and public administration. And also among the debate of languages, there's also the idea that the English language is becoming popular due to tourism, causing a lot of Moroccans to learn it.
By now, Dino, you should understand how colonization is a factor of intercultural studies due to its, many long-lasting effects.
Yeah, now it seems like when a country colonizes another, it doesn't have any huge impact on the country as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Their culture has been and will be impacted for generations. Political systems and local infrastructure are part of that impact as well. I mean, it's essentially one country coming into another country and just completely disrupting it. With colonization, they're basically injecting their ways of life into what was previously living there.
Well, thanks for your guys' help. I think I have this down.